Oh, okay, yeah. I'll stall a little bit. Yeah, it's on. Yep. Vanguard up! Vanguard up! Israel two! E Africa! Uhuru. All right, so welcome back to the second session of the first plenary of the 7th Congress. And now we're going to get into the, mass organization reports of, under the party's leadership led by the African People's Socialist Party. And this report is going to be coming from the African People's Solidarity Committee and the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. So I would like to bring up the African People's Solidarity Chairwoman Penny Hess and USM Chair Jesse Neville. Uhuru. I'm sorry? You said Kitty? Kitty too? Oh, all right. And the ORED director, I'm sorry, Kitty Riley. Uhuru. All right, so yes, this report is called Reparations Now, delivered from the African People's Solidarity Committee and the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. So I'll go ahead and turn it over.
Unity through reparations! Unity through reparations! Uhuru! Uhuru! I'm honored to be here today with my comrades, Kitty Riley. Just really want to salute you, Kitty, for being awarded the Chairman O'Malley Yeshitela Award, the highest award of the party. Very proud of my comrades and Comrade Jesse Neville, the chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement and the former candidate for mayor of the Uhuru Movement here in St. Petersburg under the slogan, Unity Through Reparations. And I want to begin, of course, by saluting my leadership, Chairman O'Malley Yeshitela, who is our leadership, who formed, along with the African People's Socialist Party, formed the African People's Solidarity Committee in 1976, a long time ago. And I want to salute, of course, Deputy Chair Onezene Yeshitela, under whose leadership so many of us work, who really all of us are organized in the day-to-day work on the ground in APSC, and that I just really want to salute the work of her office and the model that she inspires us all to uphold. And I just want to start with I want to bring up the National Central Committee of the African People's Solidarity Committee so that everybody can know who is the leadership. So I would like to call up everybody from the National Central Committee of APSC to come up here to the stage. Hopefully everybody's in the room. And I want to introduce everyone. Please come forward. This is Secretary General of the African People's Solidarity Committee, Allison Haney, who has the responsibility and the honor of working directly under the Office of Deputy Chair as the coordinator and manager of Uhuru Furniture in Philadelphia, and has been there for many, many, many years. Uhuru. Uhuru. Give it a hand for incredible comrade. And go over to the side here. We have next is, of course, I've introduced Comrade Jesse Neville, Comrade Kitty Riley, Stephanie Midler from Oakland, who is the Western Regional Representative for the time being, and of course also the manager of Uhuru Furniture Store in Oakland. Uhuru. And Comrade Janice Kant, here in St. Petersburg. Yeah, you can walk on in so people can see you. Janice Kant is the coordinator of Uhuru Foods and Pies here in St. Petersburg. And And Comrade Maureen Wagner, who is the overall director of Uhuru Foods and Pies, based in Oakland, California. Uhuru. We have Comrade Casey Mackey, Midwest representative of the Midwest region. And we have Comrade Lisa Watson, who coordinates, who coordinates the agitprop for the National Central Committee of APSC as well. And Comrade Renee Nassar, the regional representative from the Northern region. Uhuru. Uhuru, thank you all. I just want to say that the ability of APSC to have a principled stand, to be able to carry out the work that we are mandated to do, relies in huge measure on these incredible comrades, their stance, their fighting stance, their fight to really be committed to reparations to African people and making that a reality every single day in the front of work that they're in. Next, Comrade Jesse is going to introduce the leadership of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement.
Uhuru. Well, it's a great honor to be presenting as part of this presentation on the African People's Solidarity Committee, as well as our mass organization, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. I want to salute my leadership, Chairwoman Penny Hess. Let's give a round of applause to Chairwoman Penny. And the leadership of the Chairman Amali Shatella, and the African People's Socialist Party, Uhuru. And I also want to salute those great comrades who comprise the National Steering Committee of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, who carry out the work of APSC to go into the masses of the white population and do what the chairman said, which is to fracture the reactionary unity in the white population and win reparations to African people. Uhuru. So first, and I'm not sure if everyone's going to be able to come up because some people are in certain positions right now that they might not be able to be relieved from at the moment. But I would like to salute and call to come forward the Vice Chair and Treasurer and Interim Southern Regional Chair, as well as many other roles in USM, Amanda Carlozzi. Uhuru. Not here in person, but hailing from Portland, is our National Secretary, Marissa Ricchetti. Uhuru, Marissa. Our powerful National Chair of Membership, Ali Aiello. Uhuru. Might not be here. Okay, all right. Tasked with something at the moment. Okay, our Midwest Regional Coordinator, who was just up here, Casey Mackey. Our Information and Education Chair, Kyle Weiss. Uhuru. Not here in person, but also in Portland, is our Western Regional Coordinator and the Chair of the new Reparations Tours and Speakers Bureau, Mads Ambrose. Uhuru. Our magnificent Northern Regional Coordinator for USM, Hallie Murray. Uhuru, Hallie, come on up. And also in Portland, but not here, is our Birthday Fundraisers Coordinator. This is a great reparations campaign that we carry out to support the Black Power Blueprint, and that's Monica Quixote. Uhuru. So just salute the whole National Steering Committee. Uhuru.
All right, comrades, amazing comrades. And just to say that the Uhuru Solidarity Movement is active or has members in 130 cities and 30 states. So we really salute them and the incredible work that is going on there. Uhuru, I want to begin by we don't have a lot of time here, but I think it is very, very important to spend a few minutes to talk about the significance, the political significance of the creation and existence of the African People's Solidarity Committee under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. And again, I want to salute Chairman Omali Shatella because as the chairman has said, that the African Revolution of the 1960s inside the borders of the United States and all around the world underwent an incredible, vicious war, a counterinsurgency war, which it still lives under today. And that even the ideas of African revolution were crushed, and certainly they were not They were not completed. As the chairman said, the African Revolution was not complete. There were many, many problems, theoretical and practical problems that had not been solved, and that Chairman Omali Yeshitela really single-handedly went against the prevailing winds and every tool, everything that this state, this vicious white power colonialist state could throw against the African Revolution of murder, assassination, slander, imprisonment, agents coming into the work, arrests, everything that happened that crushed a revolution. And the chairman single-handedly kept the African Revolution alive and fought for it, and fought for revolution, anti-colonial revolution in the entire world. And we have to understand that from the Uhuru Solidarity Committee and from the African People's Solidarity Committee. We have to understand that, as the chairman says, masses make history, but sometimes in some periods of history there is one person who takes on the responsibility to galvanize and organize the masses of the people to make history. And Chairman Omali took that on for the entire world. That is what we have to understand, the historic nature of what we are part of. And that never in the history of African revolution or any anti-colonial revolution did anybody come to the correct conclusions about how the world got to be the way it is and what to do with the white people. What to do with the white people. That was never solved. And I think that it is humbling, and it is, you know, it's a profound thing to understand. First of all, the chairman took the words, even from the very first APSC meeting, the founding conference here in St. Petersburg, Florida, not in this building, but not too far away from here. In 1976, the chairman was reading Karl Marx. He was talking about dialectical materialism and how science and the material world is primary, and that how we have to understand this and how things got to be the way they are, not as we want to see it, but as it really is. And for white people, that is a challenge, as we know. And that the chairman talked about Marx and this question of primitive accumulation of capital, which he called, like, how did Marx ask the question? Way back in the book, Das Kapital, like page 800 or something. He's asking this question after all these pages about Europe. And he's saying, well, what was the startup money? You know, basically is what he's saying. Any capitalist business needs startup money. We know that. Well, where did this come from? And he goes, well, it comes from primitive accumulation of capital, which is a word, a phrase that covers over the reality that Europe left the coast of Europe and attacked Africa, stealing human beings and turning them into commodities, both as commodities for sale and basically as labor machines for hundreds of years. And that process birthed capitalism. That's what birthed it. Not some myth that some white leftist is going to tell you. That is what birthed capitalism. That was the midwife to capitalism, the assault on Africa. That created wealth. The stolen labor of African people can't be calculated. It's $13, $14 billion inside the United States itself, but it is, you know, it is everything. It is everything. And so when we talk about reparations, the chairman is talking about a revolutionary demand, not a favor, you know, not a one-time thing, but that we owe everything we have. And, you know, that this process is going on in Africa today, as we've heard. This never stopped. This is ongoing. The plunder, the enslavement, the brutality is going on against Africa today. This is what the United States, this is what capitalism is. It's in its DNA. It cannot be reformed. It's what it is, soaked in the blood of the people on the planet Earth. That's its essence. And that the chairman made it clear and has raised so many times that primitive accumulation is African human beings. It's indigenous human beings. It is the oppressed and colonized of the earth, their lives, their faces, their story, their narrative, everything about them, their culture, all of which was stolen, all of which met the violence of the white world to crush it, to crush the will to struggle, which they could never formally do that, but people continued to resist and still do today. And that the way this happened was the greatest violence that has ever been perpetrated on the planet. And that violence relied on us. It relied on white people, regular white people. There was no, how many things were the volunteer army and the cavalry and all of these things that went out and committed genocide, that attacked Africa, that, quote, settled, colonizer, that the chairman identified that it is not a question of racism, it's a question of colonialism, and we are the colonizer nation. And that I believe that when African people are free, and when the whole world is turned right side up, that in the future, that when all of the oppressed and colonized peoples on the earth have power over their lives, and the life of the earth itself depends on that right now. It's hanging in the balance, because they can't live, because the same process of capitalism is killing the planet itself. That when we look back, when humanity looks back, they will say, this period of history that we're in right now, the last 600 years, was the most savage, violent, vicious, incredibly inhumane period of human history that has ever existed in the 40,000 years of human beings. It's now. It's this. And that everything that we have done, that we have to scrutinize, we have to look at, we have to be honest about, that everything we have comes with our participation in the murder, the rape, the plunder, the torture, the mutilation, the degradation, the insults, the everything, the theft. We did that. We do that. And that's what our lives are based on. And that, it's so deep, it's so profound, and it's so covered over. And and you can say, well, I didn't do that. But the fact is, first of all, just letting it go by. To walk by the colony, the African shot down, or just the African who had everything taken away from them every single day on every front of life. Nothing is stable. That our stability, our ability to have social wealth that we could actually pass down to the next generation to have a down payment on a house, or to pay the college loan, or pay the college tuition, comes from this. That these are resources stolen from African people on land in which we slaughtered the indigenous people who live here. This is still their land. And these resources are still the resources of African people. And this is how the chairman brought this to life. The chairman brought this out, not as just words that you could read in some Marxist textbook sitting back in a cafe with your latte, talking about primitive accumulation, page 812 of Das Kapital. It's about life as it really is today and what it takes to change it. I read that scientists said, and this is science, this isn't some kind of metaphysical thing, but the science, I read this, it was a scientific investigation that said that African people, a people who undergoes trauma will have developed a gene that is passed down from generation to generation up to 7 or 10 generations. So everything that is there now. And I also want to know about, well, what about the violence gene? You know, the violence gene. Obviously, we have the violence gene. That's why these kids go to school and start shooting everybody. That's in the DNA of the United States. They're just carrying out what the U.S. is about. And that we have been the subjects of history. We have defined our narrative. We have defined everybody else's narrative. We have stolen everything from them. And as the chairman says, scratch the name off and said it's ours. And that the chairman has defined it as a pedestal upon which the entire white population sits. That there is no such thing as a white working class. That the class contradiction in the entire world is in the colonial reality, that the working class of the world are the colonized workers. And the ultimate working class of the world is the African working class located inside the belly of imperialism. That is imperialism's weakest link, and that, as the chairman has shown, Africans are one people all around the world, one nation, whether inside the United States, whether in Brazil, the Caribbean, forced into Europe, or, of course, on the continent of Africa, 1.5 billion strong. And that all white people sit on this pedestal, and as the chairman has said, the same process of parasitic capitalism, the assault on Africa, genocide, and colonialism created the white ruling class and the white middle class and the white working class. We all sit on that. That's why we have opportunism. That's why we have sold out the interest of African people and everybody else every time we could do it, whether we're called feminists, whether we see ourselves as Zionists, whether we see ourselves as white leftists, LGBTQ. We have sold out the interest. We have stepped up on the backs of African people to get something for ourselves. And that day is over. That day is over. And that the African People's Socialist Party carries the struggle of everybody, of all the oppressed people and anybody else that wants to come with them on their shoulders for over 50 years. They have carried that, and we can join that. The chairman has defined that every contradiction inside on this pedestal, every contradiction that we do face as white people, is a result of parasitic capitalism. It's a result of white power. This is why it's in our interest to be under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party that will be the ones that can liberate humanity, that can throw off the chains of an entire system built on violence, profit, murder, and greed, and the worst things that human beings can do to other human beings. And so the African People's Socialist Party and chairman formed APSC in 1976, and that made it clear that white people have to be organized under the leadership of the Vanguard Party, and that our work is reparations to African people. Our work is reparations to African people. That is in our interest, turning back over everything that is stolen and thereby committing national suicide by being members of the African People's Solidarity Committee and the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, and making it clear that we stand on the side of the leadership of the African working class, and that that is the future of this planet. No white left-defined revolution of white workers, or even white and black unite, what is it, unite and fight, black and white unite and fight, and all of these slogans, which are not based on the reality. Everybody, we all know that we live in totally different conditions than the African community lives in. Even the African petty bourgeoisie cannot raise money in an emergency to the extent that a white working person can, because of social wealth all around us. There's always somebody that has some money. There's always a relative. There's always something to sell. There's always something that's there. And we live in social wealth because of this, and that our work is reparations to African people. So it took many years for the African People's Socialist Party to win us. They formed APSC in 1976. It took almost 10 years for us to really internalize that, to internalize what it means, that we didn't have our own sort of parallel reality, that we were in support of the African liberation movement, but we had not embraced African internationalism as our own. And it finally came about in struggles in 1985, which was only a few years after the party first held the first tribunal on reparations to African people in Brooklyn, New York in 1982. And this question of reparations that the party was in the process of making into a household word, and we know it is a household word today. It was a very great victory of the party to be able to do that. And that was, when there were struggles that happened with us, and we came out of that struggle with unity, that we were African internationalists, and that our conclusions would be and would always be the same as those of the African People's Socialist Party in terms of the work that we have to do in the white community. So I wanted to say that, and let me open up to the correct slide here. So APSC has been in existence since 1976, and we are building. We have, as Jesse was just quoting the chairman, we have fractured, the existence of APSC has fractured this vicious unity that white people have, that all white people have had with our ruling class. And reparations is who we are. That is what we are. We are about reparations, and reparations is a revolutionary demand. If you want to overturn imperialism, you want to end war, you want to end the oppression of women, you want to end the oppression of any sector of white society, then get under the leadership of the African Revolution, because this is what is going to destroy all oppression on this planet. I just want to say a couple of things that, I'm sorry, I'm on number 14, that we are, APSC is committed to the regional strategy, that we are building our regional committees, and our regional leadership is from APSC, Stephanie Midler in the Western, Mads Ambrose from the Midwest, is Casey Mackey. Northern is Renee Nassar and Hallie Murray, and Southern is Alia Yellow and Amanda Carlozzi. So let's move on. So we are targeting for solidarity centers St. Louis, St. Pete, Philadelphia, Portland, and Boston in this year, and that we unite with the mandate to open up centers on the ground for the African People's Solidarity Committee based in the community. And our Black Star industry that has been assigned by Deputy Chair's office to APSC is Uhuru Planet. And I want to salute Comrade Hallie, who at this time is coordinating that. We have our table back there, and she's doing an amazing job, so really, really support that. We also have the office of the chair of APSC. I'm going to have to go really fast now because I'm a little bit over time. And these are the members of APSC's office of the chair. I'm going to have to go on. And we have a goal to build the office of the chair. We coordinate promotions for APSC, reparations in action, monthly studies on YouTube. the APSC brochure, which we just updated, and you can see it. We also have the National Office of Recruitment and Membership, NORM, led by Comrade Renee Nassar, and that is a very exciting thing that is also implementing a regional strategy, and we are doing that as well. And we are also coordinating from the Office of the Chair, the Black Power Blueprint Reparations Campaign, which we had the honor of reporting on yesterday in Deputy Chair's office, and so much more. But I want to call up Comrade Kitty Riley, to talk about the Office of Reparations and Economic Development.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman Penny Hess. Uhuru. 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 I want to salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela for this incredible first plenary following the 7th Party Congress. I know you have to have been transformed as much as I have been and committed to carrying out the mandates of this plenary. I want to salute Deputy Chair, my direct leadership, Deputy Chair Onizane Ishitela, for her fierce leadership that has allowed us to rise up and be more than what we ever thought we could be. And I want to salute my chairwoman from APSC, Penny Hess, the first North American that took the stand and also pulled all of us along with her every step of the way. So the members of the Office of Reparation and Economic Development, just stand up. Allison Haney, Maureen Wagner, Janice Kant, Stephanie Midler, Janine Griswa, Ryer Fogarty, who is online watching us right now, Ruby Gittleson, Pete Yarashuk, Opa Hamilton, Kara Locke, who also is right now in Oakland. And just really salute these comrades, really salute these comrades. Almost everybody has about 30 years, I think, that I named, 30 to 42 years, which means that we have been the recipient of the chairman's training for all those years, where he put it in the bank during a period of the severe counterinsurgency, and also that, you know, we have a responsibility, of course, to keep deepening it and growing and developing it. I also want to sort of go back to the beginning of, you know, the years of formation of APSC. You know, the party has, you know, created a division of labor, you know, in the early years, right away, you know, during really intense counterinsurgency in Oakland, where we all lived, because the party lived in Oakland. And, you know, it was APSC's responsibility to raise resources, and that makes sense, doesn't it? With parasitism, with the fact that all the resources are in our community. When they were living in East and West Oakland, and we were living in the hills and around the lake and these other areas, there was always the Del Mar divide in every city we live in. So, but, you know, in 1985, Chairwoman Penny alluded to that. It was under the leadership of the chairman and the leadership of Chairwoman Penny that we really internalized African internationalism as our own and understood reparations was our main task. And we knew we had to move from doing limited campaign-to-campaign fundraising and add to add to some of the great things we continue to do, which was door-to-door. We always were doing door-to-door, the March Against Genocide, but we had to add something that would bring in resources on much more of a daily basis. And that was creating institutions that would produce resources every day. These were party institutions, and we were operating them, you know, from that kind of division of labor in that period. And they're all here today. So, you know, we just started scrambling. You know, we started baking cookies, the apple crumb pie, I think Allie did, you know. We just started baking things and trying to sell things. When we were in New York, Raya and Chairwoman Penny, myself, and someone else, we sold berets and socks and gloves on the streets of New York, right there in the winter. And Raya remembers the snow, and we'd put a blanket down and sell them. You know, we were throughout the whole Bay Area of Northern California, you know, with the Uhuru Foods. And we sold so many Burning Spear newspapers through that process, through Uhuru Foods and Pies. And when we pasted them on the side of the truck when we did do the Grateful Dead tour throughout California and into Colorado. And, you know, we just did what we could. You know, we slept in the truck to secure the parking spots, you know, and we often didn't have our bearings. I can remember doing Zucchini Festival in Hayward, and we had burning spears all like stapled all the covers are stapled on the food booth, and all these white people are in line waiting to get their steak sandwiches, and they'd start reading it and like walk away. And we went into that Hayward Centennial Center or the Martinez 4th of July with the posters, "They are still pigs," one of the powerful campaigns of the party to expose the colonial police in the African community. This white pig was choking this African woman, and we had them all up, and they were like, "It's an exit, get out of here," you know. So, you know, we would be summing up how to move politically, which of course people know now. And then we did the flea markets in Berkeley, and the flea markets turned into the Her Furniture Store. But I will say one thing, that I don't know who else could ever sell 100 donated North Face tents that a truck of glue had poured on. And you couldn't open them, you could do that, but Ruby Gillison. He's the only one. So you can really imagine how far it's all come. And she sold them for $15 each. And you couldn't peel them apart. I don't know. So, you know, and everybody in ORED, really, everybody's relocated at the call of the party. And that is the stance we have, and we always want to have. And everybody, I can't even tell where we all live together. Everybody's lived everywhere, Chicago, you know, Oakland, New York. Maine. Oh, Maine, yeah, okay. So, next slide. Oh, no, you're a little ahead of me. So, under the leadership of Deputy Chair, ORED gives oversight to the Her Furniture Comrades to ensure that we carry out the protocol set by the party while maintaining the highest stance of reparations as APSC and as solidarity as APUDF. Within the furniture stores and community of the stores and all the institutions, we are to win the understanding that they are part of the whole worldwide strategy to build a liberated African economy. Thank you. Uhuru. Our goal is to build Uhuru Foods and Pies as far and wide as possible and make sure it is supported by the white population based on reparations. Under Deputy Chair's leadership, ORED participates in the development of Uhuru Foods and Pies with the goal to raise millions of dollars for Black Star Industries. Uhuru Foods and Pies is known throughout Northern California, and through the party's regional strategy will be a household brand all over this country. Next slide. Africans 1 Billion Strong donor campaign, building the economic foundation of the African nation. We have to promote AOBS donor campaign and win reparations in the multi-millions from white people. We control all of Africa's wealth. Every dollar donated dismantles the parasitic colonial economy. The increase of donors to the party and Black Power blueprint is beyond our infrastructure, and we must develop it into a full-time institution. People are coming in the droves to the party to donate, and the chairman just made the call. The party has to go to Africa. They have to get in and out of Africa. Africans have a right to their own theory, you know, their own party. It's resources, resources, resources. This is what ORED is about. We project money, we fight over it, we struggle around it, we hold it accountable, we renew our plans of action. We're just never going to not do what we say we're going to do. All right. So the next slide, we have the honor of working in the Black Power Blueprint in St. Louis. It is our responsibility to win white people to give solidarity and reparations to this project that's distinguished by uniting with the party, putting power into the hands of the African community, not charity, not some form of anti-racism, but reparations as the principled stand. So we got projects that are on the books. We are raising reparations for them. And I will say that it was such an honor. It's been such an honor. You're missing it if you don't join, because to have had the opportunity of being in solidarity with the party during the most historic, revolutionary African campaigns of the Black liberation movement in this country, free Desi Woods, smash colonial violence, defend Huey and the Black Panther Party, building of AMPO and ANRO, the tribunal, you know, in New York, in Brooklyn, New York. I mean, so many of them. It's just such an honor and such an incredible life. And now the Black Power Blueprint, where you actually see dual power unfolding every single day. This is in real life. This revolution is in real life. That's why don't make a PowerPoint too soon, because by the time you give it, something else has happened. All right, Uhuru.
Uhuru! Thank you, Kitty Riley, ORED Director. And again, salute to all the comrades who work in the institutions and directly under the leadership of Deputy Chair Ona Zaneh-Shatella and are part of the Office of Reparations and Economic Development and this incredible stand. And Jesse Neville.
All right, Uhuru. Well, I just want to start by really appreciating Chairwoman Penny and ORED Director Kitty, and just really want to salute both of them. And I'm very honored to present on this workshop with both of them, and I really appreciate their leadership and all of the veterans of the African People's Solidarity Committee very deeply. And something that's different about the Uhuru movement and APSC is that the veterans, quote unquote, are not these like vaunted, old, stodgy, relics that just collect medals and don't do anything because they did their part or whatever. The veterans are still at war, and they're some of the most energetic, creative, cutting-edge, non-liberal fighters in this movement. So I appreciate them immensely.
You're getting to be a veteran, Jesse, yourself.
Oh dear, all right. Uhuru. So let's jump in. Uhuru Solidarity Movement. We are the mass organization of the African People's Solidarity Committee. So we have the great honor of going into the masses of the white population to win political support and material solidarity with the African People's Socialist Party as the stand of reparations to African people, and as an extension of the African Revolution into white society. So as Chairwoman Penny has said, we are the reparations people in the white community. That is our identity. We're the reparations organization of white people in solidarity with the African Revolution, under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. And last year, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement increased our pledge of reparations to the party from the previous year by 27%, which was a great victory, so I really salute the Uhuru Solidarity Movement on that. However, none of us was quite satisfied with that, and we are committed this year to raise a bare minimum of $150,000 towards the work of APEDF, the Black Star Industries, and the Black Power Blueprint. And we also are in the process of raising expenses for things like solidarity centers that we've talked about and other part of our infrastructure that will make it possible for us to go forward and raise ultimately the millions and billions of reparations that must be turned over to the African Revolution. USM is a growing organization internationally. This is outdated already because 2 people joined yesterday the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, so shout out to our 2 new members. So we now have 309 members in, again, these numbers keep changing, but 120 cities and 31 states. Our goal this year is to more than triple our membership. Our goal, yes, let's give that a round of applause. And we're very serious about that. We want to get to 1,000 members and then just keep going into the thousands. We are very committed to make that benchmark this year through holding membership and sustainer drives, a massive door-to-door and tabling campaign, which we intend to build through the NTU Volunteer Brigade program laid out by the Office of Deputy Chair. We intend to be on the road constantly, on tour, holding events, waging campaigns, constantly out there in the white community, winning the question of reparations and membership in the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. And we are committed to break through the barriers that if there are millions of white people out there for whom the only thing stopping them from being a member of USM is that they haven't heard about us, we intend to rectify that in 2020. And I would like to extend a warm invitation to everybody here. Some of you are already registered, so uhuru to you if you are, to our national convention, which is happening in St. Louis, Missouri, in the Uhuru House, of the headquarters of the Black Power Blueprint in Aquaba Hall, April 18th and 19th, 2020, the theme of which is Reparations Uprising. Uhuru. And Chairwoman Penny Hess will be speaking along with our keynote speaker, Chairman Amalia Shatella, and people from throughout the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. This is where we will be putting forward our strategy and winning participation and mobilizing to go into a whole new level of building reparations to African people. Okay, The Days of Reparations tour. So in 2020, USM will embark on many tours, but the ultimate one is the Days of Reparations to African People campaign in October, which is coordinated as part of a massive, multifaceted outreach, fundraising, and recruitment campaign. Our goal in 2020 is to hold 20 Days of Reparations to African People in the US and possibly other places as well. The Days of Reparations tour is our self-criticism as white people for our historic complicity in the enslavement and colonization of African people. It is our tribute to the African Revolution and our collective organized expression of reparations to African people. This tour will culminate in a 24-hour Giving Tuesday telethon in early December, which we are characterizing as the global day of reparations to African people. The Uhuru Solidarity Movement is very excited about building and adopting the incredible NTU Volunteer Brigade program developed by the Office of Deputy Chair. This is what's been missing from USM, and it's all laid out for us. The program that Deputy Chair, that Tachar Stephanie, and other people who worked on that have laid out is just incredible, and it's right there for us to put into practice. And this is what will enable us to build a massive base of volunteers and supporters beyond our usual core of active members and leaders who can become part of a self-identified volunteer community of the Uhuru movement and help build the Days of Reparations to African people and help knock on doors and hit the pavement and do tables and win members and raise reparations and participate in our annual 24-hour Giving Tuesday telethon as well. Now, I don't know if anybody remembers this kind of ghastly-looking figure that was in my PowerPoint yesterday that I referenced quickly, but I didn't actually tell you who he was. That was a man named George Zoley. Now I'm going to tell you who he is. So the center of our political strategy this year, based on the mandates from Chairman Amalia Shatella, is to carry out a campaign to target the moneyed sector, starting with what we've identified as the colonial prison industry. This will be a sustained and fierce political campaign that involves forums, events, demonstrations, press conferences, social media, and every other tactic imaginable to expose the impact of the colonial prison system on the African community, to show that the colonial prison system is a part of the counterinsurgency war against African people, that the vast increase of the imprisonment of African people and the imposition of the illegal drug economy are examples of colonial genocide, that the prison economy has enriched the white population, as Chairwoman Penny Hess has documented in Overturning the Culture of Violence. Not just the big corporations and the billionaire capitalists, but regular working white people in rural white communities who begged for prisons to be built there in the 80s in order to function as an economic stimulus for the white population. Not to mention all the spin-off industries that made millions, if not more, billions off of the oppression, imprisonment of African people. And we want to show through this campaign that this is not about racism, as Chairwoman Penny mentioned, nor is it about an American caste system, as a book that white liberals love called The New Jim Crow, which stole its slogan from an APSC flyer that was created, I believe, in the 1990s, that's not what it's about. It's about colonialism, it's about the colonization of African people, and there's a movement right now targeting private prisons, which we intend to take the lead on that and target the private prisons, which are experiencing severe crisis right now, financially and in terms of public image, public relations, because of the work by the movement of oppressed people and African people. But there is also a liberal Democratic Party affiliated element, George Soros-funded element, that is taking the lead of this struggle and turning it into a just need to abolish private prisons, but somehow leave the entire colonial prison economy intact. So we're to pay up. But when that happens, that is not the end, that is just the beginning. And we want to bring the whole thing down. So GEO Group is one of the groups we're talking about targeting. GEO Group is one of the two biggest private prison corporations in the United States, which runs private prisons all throughout this country that lock up African and Mexican people, and also run prisons in Africa, in South Africa, in the United Kingdom, in Australia, and other places throughout the world. And their headquarters is in Boca Raton, a few hours from here, and so is the mansion of that guy I showed you yesterday, their CEO, George Zoley. So we intend to pay him a visit, both at his job and at his house in this upcoming year. We also plan to hold a major conference on the prison question, and the leadership put out that the party has always led on this question, from the African National Prison Organization to the platform of the party itself, which goes beyond just saying that African political prisoners must be freed, but also all Africans are political prisoners, and that every single African colonial subject locked down in the US prison system must be released immediately and reparations paid. Uhuru. I'm running out of time, but we're also going to be taking this to Wall Street, to New York, to the financial center of world capitalism right there in New York as well. And then quickly, that we are also carrying out another prong of this money sector strategy is the All Diamonds Are Blood Diamonds campaign. And you saw that, that thing, the press release, or what it was, from Rappaport, from their website that was in the Agitprop report earlier, the news article that showed that this demonstration had happened. The Uhuru movement, the African People's Solidarity Committee, scared these diamond genocidal businessmen from holding their conferences in the United States. They hold them in like Bangladesh now or something. They've never come back since they've never come back. And the diamond industry is in a serious crisis right now too, and we want to just push it into its grave, like just give it a nice nudge into its grave, because they have, by their own admission, they've said, we're in a crisis. They're in a crisis because people don't want to buy diamonds anymore, for one. Why don't people want to buy diamonds anymore? Because they think they're blood diamonds? No, because De Beers came up with the concept of blood diamonds to say, buy our diamonds, not the ones that come from mines controlled by so-called warlords and stuff like that. The reason people don't want to buy diamonds is because they see that all diamonds are blood diamonds. And who but the Uhuru movement, the Solidarity movement, was saying that? Okay, so we are winning, and we intend to take that victory across the finish line this year. And we are also calling on white people, if you own diamonds, turn them over to the African Revolution. You can actually put your diamond towards the Black Star Industries certified liberated diamond, and you can even buy it back. Let's say your grandmother gave it to you, has sentimental value, which people have done. People actually donated their diamonds in October, and we raised $1,000 by selling those diamonds as Uhuru diamonds. Okay. And people did receive their certificate that their diamond went from being a blood diamond, a colonial blood diamond, to a BSI certified liberated diamond. Uhuru. Okay, where am I? So the Reparations Tours and Speakers Bureau. So I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited about Comrade Mads Ambrose and Chairwoman Penny Hess and the whole committee that's coming together around this, because we want to be everywhere. We want to be on every college campus. You know, I don't know if Tim Wise is still out there, but people like that go around making thousands of dollars telling white people how to unlearn their racism, like, we want to put them out of business. We want to be the people that you go to if you want to have the expert come to your community to talk about reparations for the prison system, reparations for the diamond trade, reparations for the killing of the environment. We have a long list, reparations and. Any topic you can think of, we can address it through the lens of reparations, because reparations is the solution to every problem that we see. And we want to tour Chairman Amalia Shatella whenever possible, Chairwoman Penny, and other speakers from the Uhuru movement and the Solidarity movement all throughout this country and beyond, non-stop. Like, we want to be on tour non-stop this year, Uhuru. And I think I might be coming to the end. Okay, so Uhuru.
Thank you, Jesse Neville and Kitty Riley. And this is a little bit of what the African People's Solidarity Committee does. We weren't able to give a full report with detail, but no worries. We report to the National Central Committee of the African People's Socialist Party 4 times a year, and we undergo great scrutiny there. So it's very, very, very powerful. And, you know, I want to end this by saying that to be a member of the African People's Solidarity Committee is a very important step, and that we live in times, as Chairman Amalia Shatella has described, in which the entire world system is in a crisis. The chairman has called it the uneasy equilibrium, the struggle between the past and the future, and that it is the resistance of African and oppressed peoples around the world that is creating this crisis for imperialism, and we see it playing out in the news every single day. And that We don't live in a time when we as white people can entertain something as a consumer of information. We don't live in that kind of period. We live in a period when we are called on to take up a mandate and a task by the African Revolution to make history, to change history, to be under the leadership of the trend of the future, the tendency of the entire future, that African people, oppressed and colonized peoples, will be free, are fighting to be free. The African People's Socialist Party is winning and will win and govern, and has already begun the process of self-government. And it's called on the African People's Solidarity Committee to make this commitment to be so much more than just another goddamn white person on this planet who can live and die and go on vacations every other week, even if we're not rich, who can afford to buy a house, who can gentrify, who still has the power of life and death over African people, that we have to be more than this. Is that all we're going to be? Is that all we're going to be? No. We can be. We can take this up. We can join humanity. We can make our self-criticism. Not by charity. They don't want our charity. This has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with racism and some kind of idea of unlearning racism. This has to do with joining under the leadership of the anti-colonial struggle that is going to and is in the process of overturning the most brutal, vicious, hideous system that has ever plagued this planet. And that the entire it is, as the chairman said, the entire world is in an existential crisis. Will it continue to exist? It only will if African people have power, when indigenous people have power, because white people created the problem and white people will never solve it. I don't know if you've seen, Greta, the little girl, she's actually 17, but she has the braids and she does the climate thing, and she comes from Sweden and she came over on a boat and she almost drowned, and and they put her out there. Imperialism does, and she's up. I saw a video. She's up at Davos, the leadership of world capitalist imperialism, the Davos conference that the Trump loves and everything, and all of them do, but she's saying, what will you tell your children? Well, what do you mean? They're sending their children to the best schools to be exactly like them. And the chairman said that it can never be persuaded through, correcting the moral problems of imperialism. It's not about that. It's about African people are taking power. They're going to take back what's theirs. Are we going to hold it back? Are we going to push everything forward? Are we going to grab everybody that we can in the white community to say, this is the future? This is the future. This system has to go. The people at Davos are the ones that are starving babies in Iraq, that are killing the people in Yemen, and that we are complicit. We are complicit with that. We just look at it and it means nothing to us except another headline. Even the coronavirus, they're saying that, scientists are saying 165 million people can die from that, and it's not going to be in China, it's going to be in Africa. That's what they said in the New York Times, it's going to be in Africa. And, everything, the world, the African people, it's not a choice. It's still a little minute where it can be a choice for us. We have to take this stand. We have to join the African People's Solidarity Committee. It is not a time when we can let this go. We have to take up this mandate. We have to extend the Vanguard into the pedestal. We have to win reparations. We have to tear down the ability of imperialism to suck the blood of Africa. Cannot do that one more day. and African people inside the borders of the US and everywhere. We have a chance to see our future as part of a human family, not by trying to grow dreadlocks or some ridiculous thing, or take up, steal what the cultural appropriation, cultural theft, that is what we do, but through rectifying our relationship to the human family, to becoming part of it, to overturn or turn loose our whiteness, to commit national suicide. Our identity and our loyalty is not with imperialism. We stand under the leadership of the African working class, and that is going to be a world in which humanity will flower, in which science will be for the people, not to create bombs, not to split the atoms into profit that is stolen from, from other people. Everything, healthcare for profit. They keep cancer out there because they have people making millions of dollars off the study of cancer and all that. No, no, no. There's another way to live, and African people can lead that and solve the problems. I saw in these fires that are going on that were going on in Australia, California, they were saying that, oh, well, let's ask the indigenous people, can you fight these fires? And they were like, yeah, of course we have. We've done this for thousands of years. But it is never going to happen under imperialism. So become a member of the African People's Solidarity Committee. I want to see who can come up, who wants to come up. Also, if you're online, if you want to take up a stand and join the African People's Solidarity Committee, you can do that right now. All right. All right.
Oh, we're not in shot.
Oh,
apparently.
okay. All right. Well, if there is nobody else right now, this is an ongoing call. We have the USM convention coming up. We want everybody to come to that. And we want you to really think deeply about this, that we have a call, and we have to answer that call and be part of the future under the leadership of the African working class. So I just want to say uhuru and unity through reparations. I don't know if we still have a few minutes for discussion.
We have 6 minutes.
We have 6 minutes for discussion.
We're 6 minutes over. So
Oh, we're
under.
Under,
We have 60
okay.
minutes for discussion.
Oh,
10.
16.
Sorry. We have 10 minutes for discussion.
10 minutes for discussion. Okay, good. Uhuru, Chairman, I didn't know if there was anything that you wanted to say, or, anyway, we have discussion. Uhuru. No questions? Uhuru?
Oh, go ahead, come at. No, you take it. Yeah. Spend it. Go ahead. Yeah. Uhuru. I was about to touch it. Yeah, Uhuru, I just wanted to, I don't have a question, just wanted to express my appreciation for the solidarity movement, the chairman's vision too, because, my background is like Nation of Islam. I still gotta say that a little, mumble that. And so, yeah, like it was a struggle with me to be able to organize with the white community. And so, but the chairman's vision and the science of African internationalism really brought everything down to the ground. And so I understand that, we have a material interest in anybody that wants to be liberated, and is willing to join African people in the struggle for the revolution. Like, you have to respect that. And so, yeah, and I think it's not even a matter of respect either. It's just like, we understand that we want to be free And if y'all can align with in the solidarity movement that's here and that's not here, yeah, that's uhuru.
The relationship, or if you could discuss a little more about what it means to be cadre and the difference between joining USM and APSC and why white people should struggle to be cadre under the leadership of the party.
Which is the way the party is organized, and under the leadership, we want to do it. We are the ones that make it happen. We make this commitment to go all the way to whatever it's going to be in any period of this whole unfolding of the revolution. We take that on, and that's what it means. It means to be